Hi, this is Derek Jordan. Welcome to the World Fusion Show, where we bring you the leading innovators in world fusion music. Today, my guest is Emily Lanxner, who is a composer, steel pan player, and, you're multi-instrumentalist. You play a lot of stuff. Emily Lanxner, welcome to the World Fusion Show.
Thank you so much, Derek. It's great to be here.
It's so great to have you. Thanks so much for coming. You play a lot of instruments, but you started young, I think, right? So what was it like growing up in your house? Did you have music around your house?
Well, I had a lot of siblings. It was 7 of us all together, and my parents also, they played music. I had 3 older sisters in the Beatles era. So now you know how old I am. So
me too.
Yeah. So my older sisters loved the Beatles, and I wanted to learn to play guitar.
Right.
And then my mom insisted if I was going to take lessons on something that I had to start with piano to learn some foundation skills for music. And what happened was that I played a little guitar, but mostly I just got pulled right into piano because it really spoke to me. So I did piano quite seriously for quite a while.
And classical, I guess.
Classical. I also did some clarinet and saxophone at school in the school band, up through junior high school.
So you were
jazz
playing
band.
A bunch of instruments right off the bat.
Yeah, right off the bat I started with several string instrument, horns, piano. And then during my teenage years, I just decided that piano was too reclusive and I wanted to do something more social, and I started experimenting with other instruments, fiddle, banjo. And so I just kind of got into this crazy experimenting with instruments.
And folk music, really.
Folk music, yeah. I actually worked with, had a job working for the curator at the Folklife Festival in Washington, D.C., which I grew up near Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And that's actually where I first saw the steel pan, was at a Festival for American Folklife on the Mall. It's a great festival. Every year the Smithsonian holds this huge festival, and there was a steel band from Baltimore that was based out of Baltimore, but they were called the Trinidad.
How large was the band?
I would say about 15 players, and they were playing a Chopin etude on the steel pan. So because I played Chopin and I was with my mother, and we were just like completely captivated by the fact that these sounds were coming out of these things that looked like garbage cans, but they were oil barrels, and they were playing Chopin, and it just blew my mind, and I just thought, that's what I want to do.
Certainly repurposed, as we say.
And I was into Pete Seeger a little at that time. It was kind of the folky era with a lot of demonstrations happening in Washington, D.C., and I found a book that Pete Seeger wrote about how to make a steel drum. Yeah. And the steel drum is what it was called. And steel pan is used now. So I went with my dad to some warehouse, and I got a big oil barrel and tried to make an instrument and gave up.
That was hard.
Yeah, and so then that kind of shelved that project for a while. And then a few years later, I was in Central Park and hearing the Melody Makers. It was after Bob Marley had passed away, and there was a tour where the Melody Makers were playing, and there were people playing steel pan in Central Park, and that's when I really made the connection. Oh yeah, that instrument, I got to do that.
Right.
And then I was in Boston not too long after that, and located a steel band where they made me an instrument.
Right.
And then I had the instrument, and then I just thought, well, this is all well and good. I can play scales on here. I actually worked out a way to play John Coltrane tune on there, Central Park West. I learned how to play that. But then I thought, this is not really what steel pan is about. And I arranged to do a 10-week kind of independent study through a school that I was going to that allowed some self-guided independent study things.
Nice.
And I went to Port of Spain, Trinidad. This was in 1989. And I went right into the best band. I mean, it was just like all these things happened. I got to make this short. But But they let me come into their band. Since I had that background in classical music,
Right.
I was able to learn pretty quickly. I actually did ear training with my piano teacher. That helped a lot because they teach by ear. They don't teach with any sheet music. So I was able to learn that tune. It was the year that Clive Bradley arranged Rebecca, and they won the Panorama, which is this huge
Excellent.
competition.
Fantastic.
So I had like the most quintessential steel pan experience that anyone could ever hope to have, ever, I think. Because I think that piece is a Clive Bradley classic.
Okay.
That is, a lot of people revere it in that piece as like, this is quintessential Clive Bradley.
Yeah.
And I was playing in one of the best steel bands in the world.
And you won.
And we won. It just was how
better and better.
Yeah,
right?
it was really quite amazing. And so after 10 weeks, I came home and I started just finding my way with that instrument. I
Yeah.
was in a reggae band for a while,
Yeah.
doing different instruments, but several tunes had steel pan in it, and I played steel pan on some things, a little keyboard, a little
Right.
trumpet,
Yeah.
a little everything,
Yeah.
you know.
So I would love to go to the first video.
Great, yeah.
And which shows you playing a Bach piece.
Yes.
On the steel pan.
Yeah.
A piece called Presto. Let's do that.
Good.
Wow, that is exquisite.
Thank you so much.
So beautiful. Of course, I'm a big fan of Bach, and
Yeah.
it's just great to hear it on a non-traditional instrument.
Yeah.
And there you have the world fusion, I think. So you've been working lately with a Haitian drummer,
That's
Renald,
right, yeah.
who will be joining us later
Yeah.
for some music.
Yes.
Can you tell me what it's been like working with him and what you're doing with him?
Well, I reached out to Renald largely because of my interest in Haitian Rara music, and that's something that's developed with me over the last 10 years or
What
so.
is Rara music?
Rara music is something that happens in Haiti around the carnival season, but right after carnival is over, the actual 3-day carnival thing, there's this period of time between carnival and Lent, and that is a Rara season in Haiti, and Rara bands do a number of different things. Some of them are very spiritually oriented, some of them are political. There's a lot of street theater involved, and a lot of traveling.
And they can be large too, right?
They can be very large,
Yeah.
and large groups of singers accompany horns. The horns are homemade horns, and and each one plays one note plus harmonics. So these horns are called Koné, the metal ones that are shaped like a cone, and they developed originally for agricultural funnel. But then there's lower notes that are from bamboo, and also they're adapted with PVC pipe when bamboo is not available, and a lot of the instruments are used from repurposed objects, it's a processional thing, So sometimes during that season, the bands will go all day, all night, and they will be relieved by another group and travel from one town to the next. They'll play a fanfare in front of somebody's house that they're trying to honor somebody. They'll be used for a lot of different purposes within the culture.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And it's also not just in Haiti, but in Brooklyn and other places with the Haitian diaspora. There's great Rara groups in Miami and in Brooklyn.
Right. We're going to hear some Rara horns later.
Yeah,
on the
they're
show.
called Koné.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to go to the next video, which shows you playing with a small group.
Yeah.
A tune by Cesária Évora. It's a beautiful tune, very Brazilian sounding to me.
Yeah.
So let's go to that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. What a great vibe that has, I think.
Thank you.
You do a lot of work with activism, with your music. I know you're very interested currently in colony collapse disorder with the bees.
Right, the bees.
So how are you using your music to, talk about that issue?
With my steel band, we play parades. It started out with playing in parades, and we have a float, and we decorate the float kind of like a giant honeybee, and we do repertoire that's all related to bees. And we're trying to, and then we have lots of signs that say things about like no neonics, no berries equals no bees, like that bees are very important.
Right.
Save our swarm, and we all dress up as bees, and we're just using our appearance in the parade to bring attention to this very critical, urgent issue that's facing the world, really, because of the poisoning of our planet.
Well, bees are a keystone species.
Yes.
And without bees, we'd be having a lot of
And
problems.
I feel like that particular issue is a little bit under people's radar right now because there's so many other things happening that are really just terrifying.
It's true.
And so because we're still seeing all the food that we're used to seeing in the stores, it's not obvious. But if bees disappear, 1 out of every 3 bites food you eat is dependent on a bee. And if they keep disappearing, there's going to come a point where we go to the supermarket and we're not going to see berries.
I know.
We're not going to see avocados. You know, a lot of our food will just be gone.
Yeah. So let's go to this video where you're doing a piece that you about the bees and colony collapse.
Okay, great.
Right, there you are. That's so great. So, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience about your work?
Well, I was wanted to say something about just people, if they care about honeybees, they have to contact their local legislators, because those are the people that make the laws. And we need to put really serious, urgent restrictions or just ban neonic pesticides altogether, because these pesticides are so terrible.
That's right.
So, you know, that's my plug for honeybees, you know, that everyone has to find out where their legislator stands on this issue and make sure they urge them to make policy changes immediately. Don't wait till no food is in the supermarket.
I know.
Do it now, because this stuff sticks around. It's nasty. It goes into the waters. It poisons everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as what I'm doing with music and everything, you know, one of the things I like to do is find a common ground between different cultures so we can make music together. I think that music is a great harmonizing force on the planet right now. The planet is in a lot of war and conflict between people, between religions, and people. We got to get it together. You know, we really have to be strong on reaching out to other people, even if they're different than us. And so I think music is a metaphor for that. If we bring different styles and different people together with music, it's like, wow, it's great for everybody.
I agree. Thank you so much for saying that. I really believe it. It's so true. And it's, of course, what we're trying to do with the show is bring many different kinds of music to many people all over.
That's right.
Emily Lanxner, I want to thank you so much for coming on the World Fusion Show today.
It's been my pleasure.
And
Thanks
playing
a
your
lot,
beautiful
Derek.
steel pan and joining us. And we're going to right now go to some music, live music in the studio with you and Renald and me playing a bunch of different instruments. Should be a lot of fun. All right. So, hey, this is Derek Jordan. Thank you so much for joining us today on the World Fusion Show. And, you know, remember, think globally, listen locally, and support independent music.